Everything you know about pirates is a lie!
And after this video, you'll never see history the same way again.
Jack Sparrow, Blackbeard, Caribbean pirates with parrots on their shoulders, eye patches, and treasure buried on deserted islands. That's a fairy tale!
Because while Europeans were playing pirate in the Atlantic, 12,000 miles away, the real pirates were building empires.
Empires with 80,000 soldiers, 1,800 warships, their own legal system, their own pension plans.
And a woman who started in a brothel, sitting on the throne of it all.
The South China Sea, the Malacca Strait, the waters of Southeast Asia. This is where real piracy was born. This is where it became an art form. And this is the story that history tried to bury. Until now.
To understand why Southeast Asian piracy dwarfed the Caribbean in every possible way, you only need to look at one thing: a map.
The South China Sea sits at the crossroads of the world.
For 2,000 years, everything valuable had to pass through these waters. Chinese silk heading to Rome,
Arab merchants, Indian traders, Chinese junks, and eventually European warships, all funneling into one point.
The Malacca Strait, 50 miles wide at its narrowest point.
Every ship traveling from the Indian Ocean to the Pacific had to pass through here. No exceptions.
Now imagine you're a pirate. Where would you set up shop? The Caribbean, with its scattered islands and occasional Spanish treasure fleets? Or the Malacca Strait? The answer is so obvious, it explains 1,000 years of history.
And here's the crucial thing you need to remember. Caribbean pirates operated for a few decades. Southeast Asian pirates operated for a millennium.
Not because they were better, but because geography chose them. But here's where it gets interesting.
The first pirates to dominate these waters weren't Chinese. They were a people you've never heard of. They didn't live on land. They were born on water and died on water.
And they weren't outlaws. They were kingmakers.
Orang Laut. It literally means sea people.
They had no homes on land, no farms. Their entire lives unfolded on small, fast boats that
Mangrove forests, shallow reefs, river mouths, terrain that larger vessels couldn't enter. But for them, it was home.
They didn't fish to survive. They fished when convenient. And when it was more profitable, they raided.
And they knew every current, every shoal, every hidden channel across thousands of miles of coastline.
In the 7th century, the kingdom of Srivijaya rose to power, a maritime empire spanning thousands of islands. But they faced an impossible problem. How do you control a sea empire without a massive navy?
The answer: hire the Orang Laut.
The Srivijayan kings proposed a deal. The sea people would patrol trade routes, protect friendly merchants, and destroy.
In exchange, they received legitimacy, protection, and a share of the profits.
In other words, state-sponsored piracy.
This wasn't robbery. This was tax collection through violence. If you paid Srivijayan taxes, the Orang...
This system worked for 600 years.
And when Srivijaya fell, the Sea People simply found new employers. The Sultanate of Malacca.
Every major Southeast Asian power used the Orang Laut as their naval force, their intelligence network, and their most feared weapon.
And here's what you need to realize. The Orang Laut weren't victims of society. They weren't pushed out to sea.
They chose the sea. And they turned that choice into power that kings had to beg for.
But the Sea People were just the beginning. Because from the north, a completely different kind of pirate was coming.
Organized, ruthless, operating with military precision.
And what they built would make modern drug cartels look like amateur operations.
Chinese pirates didn't raid to survive. They built criminal corporations. While Malay pirates worked in small, independent groups, Chinese pirates formed organizations that today...
And listen to this. Pension systems for injured members.
I'm not joking. Chinese pirates had social security in this extent. You lost an arm in battle, there's compensation.
This is the modern organized crime model, invented 300 years before the Italian mafia.
In the early 1600s, a man named Zheng Zilong took this model to unprecedented heights.
Starting as an ordinary pirate, Zheng built an organization that monopolized trade between China, Japan, and...
His fortune was estimated at tens of millions of taels of silver.
And here's the insane part. The Ming government couldn't defeat him.
So they hired him. Zheng Zilong was given an official position, made an admiral of the Imperial Navy, and
he accepted, then kept pirating anyway.
Do you understand what this means? Pirates became so powerful that the government had no choice but to make them part of the system.
Not by destroying them, by legitimizing them. This wasn't crime against the state.
But even Zheng Zilong was just a stepping stone, because 150 years later, a woman would build a pirate.
Her name was Shi Xianggu. The West knows her as Qing Shih.
And her story begins at the very bottom of society. A prostitute.
Working on a floating brothel in Canton, the lowest rung of Chinese society. No education, no connections, no future.
So how did a woman like that come to command 80,000 pirates?
In 1801, she was captured by pirates led by Zheng Yi, a commander in a growing confederation of pirate fleets. But what happened next wasn't capture in the traditional sense. Zheng Yi didn't want a captive. He wanted a partner.
He had been watching Shi Xianggu.
He had seen her intelligence, her calculation, her...
She accepted. But on her terms.
Shi Xianggu demanded equal partnership in all pirate operations, equal command authority, equal profit share.
She wasn't becoming a pirate's wife. She was becoming a pirate lord. Together, they unified the scattered pirate fleets of the...
By 1804, they commanded over 400 ships and 70,000 men. Then in 1807, Zheng Yi died in a storm, and everything should have collapsed.
The fleet should have fractured. Male captains should have fought for control. Shi Xianggu, a woman in a world of violent men, should have been swept aside.
Instead, she seized absolute power.
Within months, she consolidated control through strategic marriage alliances with her late husband's adopted son, ruthless elimination of rivals,
and implementation of a formal legal code that made her fleet more disciplined than most navies.
Her code became legendary. Desertion, beheading. Rape, execution.
Disobeying orders, death. Unauthorized plundering, death. But those who followed the rules were protected. Female captives could not be harmed. Plunder was distributed by strict formula.
This wasn't chaos. This was government. A government with laws that were arguably more fair than many nations of that era.
At the height of her power, Shi Xianggu commanded 1,800 warships and 80,000 pirates. Let that number sink in. 80,000. That's larger than the navies of most countries in the world at that time. She defeated the Qing Imperial Navy multiple times. She defeated Portuguese warships sent to help China. She defeated every challenger.
The South China Sea belonged to her.
And if you're wondering what kind of ships built this empire, I have a video about the Chinese junk.
Link in the description and at the end of this video.
But here's the craziest part. At the absolute peak of her power, Xishang did something no pirate had ever done before. She won.
Not by fighting to the death, not by getting captured and executed. She negotiated her retirement and walked away with everything.
In 1810, facing a coalition of imperial forces, she could fight and probably win again. Or she could negotiate from strength and
full amnesty for herself and all pirates under her command. Her officers received positions in the Imperial Navy.
And she was permitted to retire to Canton and live however she wished. Shi Xianggu.
She died peacefully in 1844 at age 69.
No other pirate in history achieved what she achieved. Blackbeard, shot dead. Henry Morgan?
Only Shi Xianggu truly won the game.
She proved that piracy could be organized, professionalized, and run like a business empire.
And she demonstrated something important about Southeast Asian piracy that the Caribbean never understood. In these waters,
Caribbean pirates operated for a few decades. South China Sea pirates operated for a millennium. Caribbean pirates had a few dozen ships. Asian pirates had thousands.
The real pirates, the ones who actually changed history, remain forgotten. Until you remember.
If this story changed how you see history, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another forgotten chapter. And if you want to understand the ships that built these pirate empires, check out my video on the Chinese junk, the engineering.
Leave a comment and tell me, which part of this story surprised you the most? Thank you for watching. See you in the next chapter of Forgotten History.
But the empires built on the sea were only the beginning. Next, we turn our eyes eastward.
Remember the geography. The Malacca Strait, 5 miles wide, where every single valuable thing flowing between
the Orang Laut. They didn't fight land empires. They mastered the water itself. Born on water, died.
The Srivijayan kings understood this perfectly. Why build a massive navy when you can outsource enforcement?
Decades versus a millennium. Scattered treasure hunts versus control over the arteries of global commerce. The scale is simply staggering. But as complexity grew, so did organization. The Chinese syndicates weren't content with protection rackets.
Pension systems, social security for pirates. Lose an arm, you get compensated. Retire, you get your payout.
Zheng Zilong's genius was the ultimate infiltration. The government couldn't crush him, so they promoted him.
If Zheng Zilong was the CEO,
Then Xixianggu, Qing Shi, was the empire builder.
Sinfuls. She didn't accept capture, she dictated terms. Equal partnership, equal command, equal profit. She didn't marry.
70,000 men by 1804. Over 400 ships immediately. This wasn't a gang, it was... Her code was absolute. Rape meant death. Disobedience meant death. But follow the...
80,000 pirates under one command. A fighting force larger than the established navies, she repeatedly...
But the most incredible feat wasn't the accumulation of power. It was the liquidation of it.
Full amnesty, officer commissions for her captains, personal fortune secured, and a noble title granted.
Xixianggu, the prostitute who commanded 80,000 men, spent her final years running a quiet gambling house.
Her legacy proved that piracy wasn't just rebellion. It was a highly functioning parallel economy. A professional...
The Caribbean myths persist because they are simple stories of adventure. The South China Sea stories are complex tales.
The real Golden Age wasn't about buried chests. It was about controlling the flow of the world's wealth for centuries.
They built empires where the mapmakers feared to tread. Empires that the official historians tried desperately to erase.
The South China Sea still remembers.